It was a mixed bag for the power sector in the outgoing week, with the announcement by the Bureau of Public Enterprises (BPE) that it is set to sell the 5 power generation companies constructed under the National Integrated Power Project (NIPP). Kaduna breathed a breath of fresh air on Wednesday when kidnappers returned 29 out of the 39 students of the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, earlier taken on March the 11th. And it is for this reason that insecurity remains a subject heavy on our minds on issues with Jide. And BKO has his work cut out for him today as we examine the following: Senator Ali Ndume's alarm over the resurgence of Boko Haram attacks, the sad story of the 26-year-old job seeker Umoren, and what appears to be an inglorious end for actor Baba Ijesha as he risks life imprisonment on charges relating to child sexual abuse. Welcome to the program. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Thank you for joining us on Issues with Jide. Of course, you know that no one says it like BKO. Welcome, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's nice to have you here again on the show.
I say welcome to you too.
All right. So let's get started. Apart from raising an alarm that there's a resurgence of Boko Haram activities, the finance minister also spoke at the Senate hearing about the army, the amount deployed to the army. But let's start with the senator, chairman Senate Committee on Army.
No.
He says that Boko Haram is regrouping. How do you explain this phenomenon vis-a-vis banditry and cattle rearing?
Yes, it underlines the fact that we are living in perilous times. Many Nigerians will expect that by now Boko Haram will have been defeated and exterminated. But we are seeing a resurgence in attacks of Boko Haram. We are seeing a fighting group that is even more daring than it used to be. A group that is eager to take on the military, dislodge the military from their super camps, and steal their weapons. And the regularity with which those attacks are being carried out is a real cause for concern. Yes, we were told that the group was getting stronger, but a lot of us chose not to believe. A lot of us chose to continue to underrate the group. But we can see increasingly now that they are not scared to fight. In Damasak, Boko Haram launched 5 attacks in 2 weeks, just one town. And the governor was so troubled because residents began to leave in droves to take shelter in neighboring Niger Republic. Is bad enough when Nigerians leave their country to go and take shelter in another country deemed safer than their country. It's very bad. We have IDPs of Nigerian origin in Chad, in Cameroon, and in Niger Republic. The more Boko Haram carries out attacks in that region, the greater the refugee problem that we would be creating for our neighbors. And that is the shame of it. The big shame about it is that our neighbors will now have to accommodate our people fleeing the fighting. So someone like Senator Ali Ndume is from that area. He's from Goza local government in Borno State. He's from Ambagda town in Borno State. He has not visited his town since 2014. He dare not go to his town because it's not safe. There are many of them like that who have not visited their hometowns since 2014, 2015 because those areas remain unsafe. In many parts of Borno State, you will find a local government headquarters safe, but the hinterland not safe. So People would rather live in the local government quarters alone. Now Boko Haram is taking the fight to those local government headquarters that we deemed to be safe. Boko Haram is taking the fight to army super camps that we felt were impregnable, that we felt were much safer than the smaller army bases. And not only are they taking the fight to those places, they are stealing weapons. And when they steal the weapons of the army, they become stronger. They acquire a new level of capacity that should worry anyone. So this is the situation that we have found ourselves. Look at Dikwa town. Dikwa town had 2 army bases. Boko Haram overran the 2 army bases, set ablaze the 2 army bases, set ablaze the palace of the Shehu of Dikwa, set ablaze the local government quarters, set ablaze the humanitarian hub. And the governor took journalists to visit the place. We saw the destruction, so it's not fiction. You know, so it's bad enough that the traditional ruler of a town now had to relocate to Maiduguri because his town is no longer safe. This is the problem that we are facing right now. I think last Saturday they were in Ajiri. Ajiri is a community that the governor rebuilt and then resettled people there. But they went there, set ablaze the houses, killed 7 soldiers, including the commanding officer. So this is the problem that we face at this time. And when someone like Senator Ali Ndume talks like this, we've got to take him seriously because he is from that area. He is the chairman of the Senate Committee on the Army. He's constantly talking to stakeholders. So this is really worrisome. I long for that day when we'll be able to deal a decisive blow on Boko Haram and end the nonsense that Boko Haram constitutes.
Going forward, our next topics, which also border on insecurity. It was a really sad story that came from Akwa Ibom. 26-year-old Iniubong Umoren, who went to seek a job, just like any other Nigerian youth, but met a sad end. What chances are there, now that the case has been taken up officially, for the family to get justice?
Yes, I'm happy that the House of Reps decided to take up this matter, because after the young woman got lured to her death with the promise of employment and all that, the family continues to come under tremendous harassment, death threats and all that. You can imagine how embarrassing that could be. You are mourning the murder and sexual assault carried out on your daughter, and rather than the people carried it out to be remorseful, they don't want the family to pursue the case further, so they are issuing all kinds of threats to the family. So the House of Reps members fear that this matter could be swept under the carpet, and they told the IG to take over the matter and mandated their Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development to report on progress of investigation and even eventual prosecution of the culprits. So it shows how determined they are to get to the root of this matter, and I'm really happy for that. There is increasing rate of sexual assault in our country. The Minister of Women Affairs said at least 30% of Nigerian women must have experienced sexual assault at one time or another during their formative years. That's a staggering figure. 30% is huge. We are talking about more than 18 million women potentially victims of sexual mistreatment and all that. So we need to get very serious with sexual offenders. We need to work harder in securing conviction, because the truth is we don't get enough conviction for when we're talking about these cases, and that's the reason a lot of people do not see anything wrong in sexually assaulting other people.
And this is where I want to come in, Ike. How do you get more convictions and justice for the sexually abused, where the mindset of a male-dominated society would go ahead to explain some circumstances as not having, as the abuse not having been penetrated, and as such, the abuser is not necessarily guilty in that circumstance? How do you separate penetration from sexual molestation, the beginnings of sexual molestation in the first place? Can they be separated? Doesn't that also do damage to the mind of the abused child or young person?
You don't have to penetrate the victim before you go to jail. The law is quite clear. Attempted penetration itself will give you a minimum of 14 years, going by the laws of Lagos State. And that's why I pity that fellow, Baba Ijesha, Mr. Olanrewaju, because look, his story that penetration didn't happen in that footage is not enough to save him from going to jail. The law is quite clear. Section 262 says attempted sexual assault by penetration, 14 years. Defilement itself, the defilement, section 137 says defilement will earn you life imprisonment. So if they can establish a case of defilement against him, he's going to stay in jail until he breathes his last. Then, of course, sexual assault by penetration, that one, section 261, that also guarantees him a lifetime in jail. So you don't have to penetrate. You don't have to penetrate.
Help? Won't it promote more abuse? Because that is the view that is being expressed out there.
If there is the problem,
and that's why men they're calling for, but they were calling for his release at a point.
No, people were calling for his release because they hadn't seen the video. I can tell you that even some of the idiots who are backing him, the moment they saw that video, they pulled back. Because you can't do all that to a minor. You can't be groping a minor. You can't do that. So if you start groping a minor in that manner, then you are saying that if you had the opportunity, and I can tell you that if Princess and her friends had tarried a while before storming the house to put an end to the nonsense, he probably would have slept with her.
Absolutely.
Yes, because he was what he was doing amounted to some form of foreplay, just trying to prepare her for the big occasion and all that. He was preparing to go all the way. That was what he was preparing for. But the law is clear. A lot of our people do not even know the content of the law. A lot of our people still think that it's not a big deal, because in most cases we do not pursue these cases to the very end. You see families who come together and say, let us end it. We don't want to go to court. Let it just end at this point. Women, and I expect women groups to take this matter seriously. Women, once a case of rape is established, women must put their foot down. And of course, two men must support and ensure that the culprit is served the justice that he deserves. If we put an end to this nonsense of, we don't have to take the matter to court, okay, forgive the offender and all that, people will learn. Lives are being lost. people are being killed. All in the name, in the name of just having fun for a few minutes. So it has to stop. They are even taking the lives of women in addition to raping them. Rape is fast becoming, assuming an epidemic proportion in our country. And we have to come up with the right laws. At a point in Uganda, rape was such a big problem, and rapists were passing on HIV to their victims. The president came out and said, look, from now on, it's death penalty. It came down drastically. And even the rate of infection of HIV in Uganda also came down with it. So society gets the kind of law that it deserves. If people will not stop raping women in our society, then the law should be stricter. If we get to that point that people will know that whenever they rape a woman, they will spend the rest of their lives in jail, and they can see examples being made out of rapists, I can tell you that this will be able to banish. Even if we don't banish, we'll be able to bring incidents of rape to a drastically low level. That's the way I see it.
All right, okay, we could go on and on, but this is where we must drop the anchor. And we hope that others who abuse children also will face the full wrath of the law, and not Baba Ijesha's case being singled out because he was caught in the very act. Thank you for being there on Issues with Jide today. Remember that you can subscribe to this program by clicking the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. It's TVC News Nigeria, and we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TVC News NG. That's how it's been on Issues with Jide today. Thank you for watching. Join us again, same time next week. Bye for now.